All right, so I don't know what this video is going to be all the way about, but I was scrolling on TikTok and this caught my attention because she started out the video by saying, coming from somebody who's been a stay-at-home girlfriend. And that really caught my attention. So I want to see what she's talking about.
Coming from somebody who has been a stay-at-home girlfriend for 3 years, it's not the life you want. And when I say stay-at-home wife, mom, girlfriend, whatever, I mean you are relying solely.
Well, I mean, it's not whatever though, because like that's very different. Stay-at-home girlfriend and a stay-at-home wife, stay-at-home mom. That's all very different. I think we're so comfortable with the idea of moving in. And I'm not going to act like I did not do that at one point in my life, because I did. But I don't know how we got to a spot where we're so comfortable with moving in with our boyfriend and girlfriend and playing house and thinking that it's going to work out. Because majority of the time, what's going to happen is if you move in with your boyfriend or with your girlfriend, inevitably, you're going to get sick of that person because we're human. And then you're either going to break up or you're just going to continue doing what you're doing and you're never going to get married because you've already experienced all the quote unquote benefits of being married. Or you're just going to be so sick of that person that you're just going to leave. So either you're never going to take the next step, or very few people do, or y'all going to break up. And you might be left with some baggage. You might be left attached to that person for a lifetime. For example, children. Hold on, let me restart this video.
Coming from somebody who has been a stay-at-home girlfriend for 3 years, it's not the life you want. And when I say stay-at-home wife, mom, girlfriend, whatever, I mean you are relying solely on your partner's income. But I saw a quote a long time ago, and I wish I listened to it. If you give a man the power to feed you, he also has the power to starve you. But when I tell you there was no amount of gifts, trips, nothing truly made me happy. And honestly, I convinced all of you that I was living the life. I feel like that's what a lot of women do. They try to convince themselves and everybody else that they're enjoying their life of not having anything for themselves. I was showing you guys this nice apartment, my daily Target runs, I was going crazy every single day. And there is a lawyer on TikTok, but she said the divorce rate with stay-at-home moms and wives is very high. It's kind of the same story every time on why they're filing for divorce.
Well, the divorce rate is probably high because so many people are living together before they actually get married. And if you're living with somebody for a year, 2 years, 3 years before you actually take that step and get married, you basically have been playing house for 1 to 3 years. So you've been hypothetically married, even though you haven't actually gone and actually, did the ceremony, got the paperwork done, all that type of stuff. But you've been acting like you're married for 3 years, and then you actually get married, and then you wonder why all these newlyweds are getting divorced. Because at that point, they're already sick of each other.
So the man says, you don't have to work, just stay with me. All you gotta do is take care of the family. To a lot of you guys, that would be music to your ears. If he is paying for your whole life and you don't have any income at all, there will start to be a resentment. I'm just glad I was young. I didn't have any kids. I was not married. I was able to start my life before I wasted more years just staying in the house. Being in a relationship where you know you will have nothing when you leave, or if this person ever leaves, that's not gonna feel good, And also something else I didn't like about having my life completely funded. you kind of have to let them do whatever they want. To like go about things differently and tolerate a lot of BS because
No,
you're
you
like,
don't have to let them do whatever. You don't have to let them do whatever they want. But if you're not married, what are you going to tell the dude? If you're not married and you're living with a dude and he's financing your entire life, what are you going to tell him? What are you going to tell him? You shouldn't have put yourself in that position in the first place. You shouldn't have put yourself in a position where you're solely relying on your boyfriend, not your husband, but you're solely relying on your boyfriend to finance your lifestyle. And it's not your fault because there's so many people who do it and we just think it's cool. We just think that that's the next step in a relationship is to move in and then just play house because society is straying further and further away from the traditions of God. They're straying further and further away from a biblical marriage. And now what's being pushed is, well, just move in and just kind of test the waters and just kind of see. Like, yeah, like go ahead and like have sex to see it, like just so you can see what it's going to be like, because you don't want to get married and then have sex, because what if you don't like it and now you're married, now you're gonna, it's like, it's so backwards now. It's so backwards. And I fell into that same trap as well. I'm not sitting here acting like I'm holier than thou. I fell into that same trap as well. But at a certain point, you got to wake up and you got to understand that there are men out there that will marry you, that will put God first, and that want to take care of you. And as a woman, and I'm not a woman, obviously, but for a woman, you have to find the right individual to invest in. You have to find the right individual to give your heart to. You can't just give your heart to any dude just because he has a bag and just because he can support you. And honestly, if you're talking to a guy and it gets to that standpoint and it gets to that, situation to where you're living together and you're not married, you need to question his morality. You need to question why he's moving the way that he's moving and why he doesn't want to put a ring on your finger and why he doesn't want you to be his wife. Because at that point, if you're living together and he's financing your whole lifestyle, it doesn't really make a lot of sense if you're not married. So yeah, there's always going to be a fear of, okay, what if he just leaves and now I don't have anything? But if you're coming together under God, that fear should no longer be there because divorce is not an option. I think we make divorce an option. That's where we already have gone wrong. People go into marriage with divorce as an option. It's not an option for me. But so many people go into it as it being an option. And it's always in the back of their mind, well, if things don't work out, we'll just get a divorce. That's not how it's supposed to be. That's just how the world has set it up. But that's not how God intended it to be. All right, let's continue or else we'll never finish this video.
On the line. And also something else I didn't like about having my life completely funded, you kind of have to let them do whatever they want. To like go about things differently and tolerate a lot of BS because your life is on the line. And as delusional as I was, I knew that I never wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. Once you add kids into the equation, you're probably never gonna leave. Because once you pop out that kid, that's when you really, really sign a death contract. Like, you can't go back now. Because if you leave, not only do you have to fend for yourself, you have to fend for an innocent life too. So you're definitely not leaving if you have no income. I ain't doing no wrestling. Getting back into the workforce is not easy. Go ahead and do your research. And I'm pretty sure you're thinking, oh, I could just get alimony. That's like a unicorn. Do you know how much money that man makes? Did you make him sign a prenup? Because you will get comfortable staying at home, not doing shit. And then before you know it, 10 years passes by, you got kids, your husband's cheating on you with a younger woman. Are you going to stay, or are you going to take your kids, get a divorce, get a job? Staying home and taking care of the kids and the house, I think that's outdated. We're in a different time now. I do believe a man should provide, but I do believe that you should have your own income too. I'm just going to be real. I think all men cheat, especially if they have money. They have access to hundreds of women that look better than you. That might be controversial, but it's the truth. So,
Okay. Let me just say, I can only speak for myself. Um, I have a little bit of money, a little bit, enough to support my family, right? My mind is not on other women. My mind is not on cheating. My mind is on how can I serve God and how can I raise my children to love Jesus and how can I be the priest inside of my house and how can I be a strong man of God, a protector, a provider. I'm not thinking about other women. I think the problem is this social media generation has a lot of women looking for the wrong men in all the wrong places. So you already are going into dating thinking that every man cheats. You're already going into dating with a preconceived notion that it's outdated for your husband to take care of you. That doesn't make any sense. Men were designed to be providers. We were designed to be protectors. I'm not saying that all women have to be stay-at-home moms, but for me, I want my wife to be at home. I want her to be with the children. I want her spending time with our kids. I don't want another woman raising my children in daycare or what have it. I want my children here. I want my wife here. I want her to be safe. I want everybody to be safe. And it's not like a control manipulation thing, but it's really a matter of I value my family so much. And I want to truly build a solid foundation with my family. And I don't want all these other outside opinions from all these random people to be influencing my children. And I don't want my wife to have to be in man mode. You know what man mode is, right? When you just hustling and you just grinding. And I'm going to keep it real. There was a point in my life not too long ago, I wasn't making any money. There was a point in my life not too long ago where my wife was taking care of me 100%. And she'll tell you that. She was taking care of me 100%. And I'm going to keep it real with you. I felt like my life was worthless. And I knew that was not right. And I was not comfortable with that one bit. And sometimes I would just be on the couch just crying. And it wasn't even like I was sad, but I was just crying out of frustration because I was like, I know this is not it. So it's like, you're looking for the wrong people. You're coming into the game, you're going into the dating game with the wrong perspective already. And you're going to get exactly what you're looking for. You're going to get exactly what you're looking for.
I don't think that putting your whole life into a man's hands is a good idea right now. But I'm just being real and I'm just trying to look.
Well, here's the thing. She said, I don't think putting your whole life into a man's hands is a good idea right now. This is why you have to have God in your life, because it's not even a matter of putting your life into a man's hand. God is sovereign over your life. Your life is in God's hands. Whatever a man does to you, it is what it is, because your life is in God's hands. You should be serving Christ first. That's who you should be depending on. And when you serve Christ and when you get married, what does the Bible say? The Bible says to submit to your husband. But you're submitting to your husband under the guidelines that your husband is in full submission to Christ. So if your husband is in full submission to Christ and you're submitting to your husband out of obedience to God, Jesus Christ, then God is the one that is in control, and God is the one that is at the head of your relationship, or at the head of your marriage, more specifically. And that's where the perspective is all upside down. You think that you have to put your life into the hands of a man, when you should actually be developing a relationship with God first, and be looking for a man who has a solid relationship with God first. Because a lot of these dudes, man, a lot of these dudes are going to do you dirty. And if you're looking for that type of dude who has a lot of money, who has a lot of options, then that's what you're going to get. You're going to get a dude who has a lot of money, who has a lot of options, who will probably cheat on you. But that's not every man. That's just the lens that you have on.
For the young women who are planning their whole lives around being a stay-at-home wife. And I hope that there are some stay-at-home wives, moms, girlfriends watching this. I hope you guys can put your pride aside and back me up in the comments and tell them I'm right. Anyways, I hope you guys listen to me, even though you probably won't. Love you.
I'm definitely not listening to you, because that's not how God designed relationships to go. It's not. It's not. I don't think it's old-fashioned for a man to want to provide for his wife and for his family. I think the problem is you're looking for boys when you should be looking for men, specifically men of God. But you got to get right with God first for yourself. Before God can put a man of God in your life, your relationship with Jesus has to be solid first. And it goes both ways. Like, as a man, before you can really step into all that you are called to be in a relationship and find that wife that God has for you, your relationship with Christ has to be solid first. Because if that is off, that's going to throw off the whole dynamic of that marriage. And then you're going to be in these situations where you feel like you're depending on a man to support you and to provide for you. But in all actuality, God is at the top of the marriage. Your faith is in Jesus. You're depending on Jesus. He's your provider. But to a lot of people, that doesn't make sense, because it's counter to what culture and the world wants you to believe. The world wants women to work 40 hours a week. They want you to pop out babies, go back to work in a month or 2 months, work 40 hours a week, put your children in daycare, let the system raise your children the way that they want to raise your children, to create good little, workers. good little employees that they can place in whatever company and pay them the least amount that they can pay them, but tax them the most that they can tax them, indoctrinate them with the ideas that they want to push on them, all while you feel independent because you're working a job and you're getting your own paycheck. And it's not bad for women to work. That's not what I'm saying. But if you have the ability, if your husband has the ability to support you and hold it down, then y'all should be leaning on that 100%. You should, as a woman, you should be trying to support your man and help him get to that point to where he can support the family and you don't have to work. Because that's ultimately going to be most beneficial for your family unit. And that's ultimately going to be the healthiest thing for your family unit. Because then you can focus on that relationship and really foster that relationship between your husband and vice versa, and with your children, and just overall with your family. But the world wants the family divided so that they can have more control, so that they can do with your family whatever they want to do with them. And that's really what's happening behind the scenes. But pride will tell you like, oh, I got to get mine. I got to get mine. And there might be a season where, yeah, you do have to get yours. Just like I was saying, not too long ago, my wife was holding me down 100%. But that wasn't the goal. That was never the goal. That was never the plan. That was never the intention. But that's how it played out. But now we're here and we ain't going back, because this is how it's supposed to be. These are just my thoughts. I'm really just talking I'm just talking to y'all at this point. I'm just talking. It's late. I'm just hanging out. I'm just talking. I don't know. What do y'all think though? Get in my comments. Let me know what y'all think. All right. I'm out.